Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, which of the following expressions is equal to 5t squared minus 2t plus 4t minus 5 minus parentheses negative 2t squared minus 5t plus 6. So we're looking for what? We're looking for an equivalent expression. Is that right? So they're giving us an expression, so we're gonna write it down, okay? Exactly as it is, even with the parentheses, guys, okay? Many times we take it for granted that, oh, I know what to do, but it can be a little bit challenging if we are not paying attention to everything. So sometimes it's better for us to write it down, and that way we kind of like focus on what we wrote, right? And then we go on to the first step. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what to do with the parentheses, right? Well, in the first parenthesis, there's no number outside the parentheses. So anytime that there's no number, remember, it's understood that there is a 1. Okay? Now, anytime that you multiply by 1, we get the same answer. Therefore, it's like I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to bring down my terms from the first parenthesis exactly as it is, because multiply by 1 doesn't change anything. Next, I can see this one also as a 1 outside. And again, if we have a 1, it means that nothing is going to change inside the parentheses. So we're just going to write it down. Okay? Now, this is the problem. I do see a minus, which means this is not going to be a positive 1. Therefore, if I write down a 1 outside, that means that everything inside the parentheses will need to be multiplied by a negative 1. Now, that makes a difference, right? So think about it. If when you multiply by a positive 1, everything stays the same, then when you multiply by a negative 1, it cannot stay the same. There got to be some changes, right? Okay, so what changes are going to happen? Well, let's check it out. You multiply negative 1 times negative 2t, so it's like multiplying negative 1 times negative 2. That will give me a positive 2t squared. Then I'm going to continue. Negative 1 times a negative 5t. Negative 1 times a negative 5 gives me a positive 5. Is that right? And the last one will be negative 1 times a positive 6. And negative 1 times a positive 6 gives me a negative 6, which means I can write down a minus 6. So if you notice, everything that was inside the parentheses kind of switched to the opposite, right? So that's the first thing that I want you to see. What do I do next? Well, we're going to need to combine like terms, right? So let's start with t squared. If you notice this one, right? Let me make sure that I do not highlight the negative sign. Oh, it erased my negative, which is good. I can write it down here. Okay, so 5t squared can be combined with 2t squared. Now I'm going to highlight the plus also, right? Okay, what else can I combine? Well, what about t's? Do I have any t's there? Yes, that's one. That one has a t, and this one has also a t. So all of that needs to be combined. And of course, the last one to combine will be my constant, right? Which is this one and this one. I'm not going to highlight them just so that you can still see them there. So let's go ahead and combine my 5t squared plus my 2t squared, right? And that will give me 7t squared. So I'm going to write it down right here. Okay, what about the t by itself? Well, the first one is negative 2t. The next one is a positive 4t. And the last one is a positive 5t. Is that right? So I can combine these two, and that gives me 19. But the next one is a negative 2t. Then I cannot add. I need to subtract, and that gives me 17. Okay, so I'm going to write it down here. And it is positive because there's more positives than negatives. Very good. And the last one is going to be my negative 5 minus a 6, which means negative 5 plus a negative 6. Is that right? And what do I get? Well, that will give me a negative 11. Okay? So let's check on that answer. I'm going to write it down here. So I'm going to write down minus 11. Okay? So do you see anything that looks like that on my answer choices? Does letter A looks like that? Yes, right? Pretty much. Letter B, well, letter B has 3t squared, so that doesn't work. Letter C has a minus 17. And I know it's not a minus, it's a positive, right? And the last one has a plus 1. And that's what is wrong with that. Therefore, yes, we can confirm that the answer is letter A.